Hi there. I'm going to talk you through a more detailed explanation of task 4, the essay for the Crucible, so that you can understand what and how you're going to be assessed. We're also going to have a look at the difference between an A, B, and C descriptors, so you can achieve the grade that you are striving for. Let's have a look at the first criteria, understanding and responding to context. The student work has the following characteristics: exploitation of a range of essay patterns and conventions to achieve specific purposes. Here we're looking at your essay structure. So we're looking for an introduction, which includes your thesis statement, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. To get an A in this criteria, you need to exploit those essay patterns for the specific purpose. They're not just there, they're not just present, that you've strategically placed it all together. They're well structured and they're informative for the purpose. So for an A, it's an exploitation for specific, B, it's an effective control for specific purposes, and C, it's a use of these. Second criteria, discerning selection, organisation and synthesis of relevant and substantive subject matter to support opinions and perspectives. Here we're looking at your sequence and organisation, not holistically at the whole essay level, but at a paragraph level, looking at how your quotes prove your thesis, whether or not you've met your word limit, and making sure that you've got the best quotes for the purpose of the task. So considering that you're only using 4 quotes in total in your essay, these need to be the absolute best quotes to prove your point. So for an A, we're looking for a discerning selection and synthesis of the relevant and substantive subject matter. For a B, it's an effective selection and organisation and synthesis of relevant subject matter. And for C, it's a selection and sequencing of relevant subject matter. So the difference between a B and A is that synthesis of the relevant and substantive subject matter. So making sure that, with your quote analysis, we don't just have a single sentence of quote analysis. It's in depth, but it's purposefully put there. Third criteria in the top section is your manipulation and control of the roles of the writer and relationships with the audience. So here we're looking at your quality of writing, your tone, making sure that it's third person, and you've got academic writing. This is a formal analytical essay. You need to make sure that you've manipulated and controlled that tone throughout. So for an A, it's manipulation and control. A B, it's an establishment and control. And a C is an establishment and maintenance. In the middle section, understanding and controlling textual features. This is really looking at the mechanics of your writing, right down into the paragraph and sentence level. So let's have a look at the first dot point. A discerning combination of a range of grammatically accurate language structures for specific effects, including clauses and sentences in written text. So here, as I said, we're looking at the mechanics of your writing. Looking at your sentence structure, have you used a variety of sentences, short, compound, complex? Are they correct? Also having a look at the contextualization of your quotes. These need to be integrated into your sentences. We don't want harsh quotes just being thrown in there. So for an A, we're looking at discerning for specific effects. B is a control of to achieve effects, and C is a use of for the purpose. Discerning use of mode-appropriate cohesive devices to develop and emphasize ideas and connect parts of text, including paragraphing in written text. So this is your cohesion and your use of your thesis to tie your ideas together. It's also referring to the use of connectives, so making sure that you're using the right connective for the purpose. So if you're adding information, you might use additionally. If you're trying to, sum up your ideas, you might say as a result or consequently. So making sure that you use the connective for a purpose. We should also have a variety of connectives, so we're not always going back to the same connective every time. So for an A, we're looking for discerning to emphasize these ideas and connect parts of text. B is an effective use to maintain the idea, and C is a use of that connects parts of text. Cohesion is also at your inside your paragraph, I should say, as well. So your ability to link your stimulus quote to your play quote and how easily that they flow and work together. Third one, discerning use of a wide range of apt vocabulary for specific purposes. Your vocab choices are sophisticated for the task, considering that you're writing a formal analytical essay. You're not just going to the thesaurus and finding, big long words. You're choosing words purposefully that meet the context of your sentence, that also, again, create cohesion. So for an A, it's discerning for apt. B is effective use of apt vocabulary, and C is a use of vocabulary. The last criteria there is a discerning use of mode-appropriate features to achieve specific effects. These are our written features. So this, is your spelling, punctuation, referencing, and also the look of your essay. So when we get it, have you taken some time to make sure that, you've got an introduction, a single space, body 1 space, body 2 space, conclusion. Your name should be in the header, things like that. Does it look like an essay? Take some time in formatting. It's a true reflection of yourself, whether or not you put some effort into that. Think about your font choice as well. Think about the size of your font. We don't want size 14 essays, size 11 or 12 is great. Calibri, Times New Roman, Arial, simple, straightforward fonts. Don't make it difficult for yourselves. So for an A, it's a discerning use of these, B is an effective use of this, and C is a suitable use. The bottom criteria is often the hardest one to achieve. So making and evaluating meaning. This is all about our quote analysis, link to thesis, and how it all ties together. So let's have a look at this. Discerning manipulation of the ways ideas, attitudes, and values underpin text and influence audiences. So here we're looking at your analysis of good quotes and whether or not these prove your thesis. Do they value add? It's not just about picking quotes and analysing them. Is it actually working towards your whole argument? Also, we're thinking about your quote analysis and ideas and the link between your stimulus and play quote. So as we said, you only have 4 quotes in this essay total. You need to make sure that they are the best quotes that you can possibly choose to prove your overall thesis and task question. So for an A in this criteria, you've done that discerningly. For a B, you've done it effectively, and a C, there's an appropriate use of this. Second dot point, subtle and complex creation of perspectives and representations of concepts, identities, times, and places. Here, this is an overall link to thesis and to the 2 time periods of McCarthyism and the Salem witch trials. So for McCarthyism, obviously we're referring to the paranoia over communism, whereas for the witch trials, it's the paranoia over witchcraft. Your ability to link the 2 time periods together to prove your thesis throughout your essay is what we're looking for. To get an A, it's a subtle and complex creation of these perspectives. It's not forced, okay? It's cohesive. It should all be there. It's working together. For a B, you've got an effective creation of this, and for a C, there is a creation of. The last criteria is our discerning use of aesthetic features to achieve specific purposes. So here, this is looking at the holistic nature of the piece. Everything is working together to prove your thesis and your task question. So to get an A here, we're looking for a discerning use of these aesthetic features for specific purposes. B is an effective use for specific purposes, and a C is a use of just to achieve purposes. Hopefully, team, this clarifies how and why you're being assessed, how you can maximise your results within this particular task. Good luck.